Welcome to the State of the DCEU update on Durbania with Cody Leach and myself. And with Justice League released and a couple other weird news articles like Ben Affleck once again deciding he's done, there is some DCEU updating that has to be done. Before we jump into that, Cody Leach, tell us about you and where we can find you.
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you recognize me, but if not, name's Cody Leach. Channel's name is Cody Leach. Just go on YouTube and type in Cody Leach. Hey, you're a smart one. And you'll find my channel, or you can just do youtube.com/Cody Leach channel. Got a lot of movie reviews, music reviews on occasion, video game reviews on occasion, top 5 ranking videos, a lot of horror content, especially of late. So if you're a horror fan especially, there's a lot of cool stuff to check out. But me and Durbin got quite a few collaborations. We actually just dropped our review for Evil Speak, a classic 1981 movie, I guess. Go check that out. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, let's talk some DC.
Let's talk some DC. Now, on Cody's channel, you can check out his review for Justice League. On my channel, I have a spoiler-free and a spoiler talk, whichever one you want to jump into. So we've already reviewed this movie. So what this State of the DCEU is, it's our discussion of what we think the future of the DCEU is going to be, the impact that we think Justice League will have on that future, and the impact of some of the news with Ben Affleck and things like that. So let's begin with Justice League this weekend. Cody, what are your thoughts about this movie? And do you think Warner Brothers is patting themselves on the back right now, or do you think they realize they got some work ahead of them?
Okay. I think when Warner Brothers is looking at how Justice League is doing so far, I have doubts that we'll have another State of the DCEU video. That's pretty much how I think it's going right now. Justice League, I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was terrible. It kind of breaks my heart that I have to describe the movie as it's not terrible. But it was a movie that I already expected, kind of had low expectations walking into it, and the movie met those expectations, but that's not a great thing. It's entertaining, it's quick, easy, digestible entertainment, but it's also very light and quippy and fluffy. It's definitely DC trying to do a MCU style movie. Some people love that. People like me, I actually like the DCEU tone so far. I can't stand it when people say that the tone and the darkness and everything was the issue when it's not. It was the writing and some of the execution. But a lot of great character moments, a lot of great character interactions, a lot of things that make me excited for what's to come. But unfortunately, with the fan reception, with the critical reception, and what the box office is looking like it's going to be, I don't know what's going to come after Justice League, if anything.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because even as I go through on YouTube and I look at other people's reviews, I'm seeing a lot of the same things of what you just said. Like, oh yeah, it's good. It's full of flaws though. I mean, you know, so like that seems to be like the most common thing I hear. And I don't know. It's interesting. I noticed how much of a Marvel copy it kind of was. I mean, I don't mean like it copied Marvel or ripped off Marvel, but it definitely went over to Marvel, looked at its formula, and kind of followed that. Because we got our 2 post-credit scenes, just like Marvel, one mid-post-credit, one, after the credits, to set up the universe and to set up what's coming. And in fact, I didn't talk about this in either of my reviews, so I'll bring this up right now. When you had Deathstroke show up with Lex Luthor on that boat, I don't know how you felt about that part, Cody, but that got me kind of excited. Like, did you think that was cool? Like, some cool world building right there?
That was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, but unfortunately, after I sat through the entire movie, that scene lacked impact for me because I have zero confidence that they're actually going to follow up with what that scene promises. That scene, it brings back Lex Luthor that we don't like. It doesn't give us enough of that Lex Luthor to see if they fixed him or not. He didn't act all weird and crazy. He was a little bit more like regular Lex Luthor, but it was literally like, 2 lines? But Deathstroke looked awesome. Joe Manganiello, I think is his name, he looked awesome whenever he took the mask off. He had the white hair and the white beard, looked just like the Slade Wilson that we want to see. And that guy's a badass. I mean, he would be a great Deathstroke. So the concept of Deathstroke being a villain in a future movie, or them forming the Injustice League, or all the other names that they have for kind of the anti-Justice League, it's a cool concept. It does get me excited, but like I said, that my confidence level that we're actually going to get there is not very high.
Well, it's just funny because the DCEU promises a great deal of things, and then they're constantly changing that lineup, which is a very good segue into this next thing about Ben Affleck once again. I mean, how many times have we been back and forth on this? And now he's saying in a polite way, he's looking for a cool way or a graceful way to exit. And they even dropped a line in Justice League between Bruce Wayne and Alfred, where Alfred's like, you can't do this forever. So it feels like they're planting seeds for Bruce Wayne to take the mantle of Batman and pass it on to Dick Grayson or somebody else, but as a way to pass on the mantle, kind of like what they did at the end of Dark Knight Rises. And so, what are your thoughts on this with the future of the DCEU? What does this spell for the Matt Reeves Batman movies?
I love Ben Affleck. I love Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. Earlier this year, when this news first started kind of rumbling out around March and April, when all of us were doing a DC Batman video every other day on the conflicting reports, it was scary a little bit for me because I love his portrayal. At this point, after so many reports back and forth, after talking about it for so long, after so much time going through, and after kind of seeing how they slightly kind of neutered his character a little bit in Justice League, I'll be honest with you, I'm ready for Ben Affleck to just move on and do something else and get somebody in to portray Batman who hopefully they can at least treat him well enough to stay, because I don't blame Ben Affleck for wanting to leave at all. I mean, when you come in, first of all, the dude has worked so hard since the mid-early 2000s to get out of the Daredevil, Gigli Ben Affleck persona. He went away, didn't do a bunch of movies, came back, started directing. The dude has nailed every movie, even Live by Night, which a lot of people don't like. I still thought that was an awesome movie. Every movie in my mind that he's directed has been a knock out of the park. And now he is stuck in the DCEU, portraying a character that he wants to portray, that he loves, he's very passionate about, and he does a damn good job doing it. But he's stuck in Batman v Superman, which you have to have an ultimate Blu-ray cut to just be a good movie. And many people don't even think that that's a good movie. So a very divisive movie, leaning much heavier on the negative. Then you get Justice League, which I think is going to lean even maybe a little bit farther in the positive, but still very divisive at best. And he's just stuck in this franchise now where even though he's doing good, he's stuck in movies that are quote-unquote bad. And I don't think he wants that on his reputation. I don't think that he wants to be stuck in movies that he's not passionate about because he doesn't agree with the directions they're going. Clearly, since they took the Batman movie away from him, took the director's chair away from him, tore up his script, and gave it to Matt Reeves, they don't have any interest in what his ideas of where the Batman movie should go anyway. So if I was Ben Affleck, you would have been lucky to see me in Justice League. I would have already been gone. Honestly, I'm ready for Ben Affleck to go back and start directing movies again, start doing some other things. I love him for what he brought to Batman, but we're never going to get to see the Ben Affleck Batman that we thought we were going to see months ago. And I'm ready for them to just cast somebody, assuming this universe goes forward and continues and they can do some more damage control and continue the upward swing they were on with Wonder Woman. I'm ready for them to cast somebody, get the movies straight, get them on board, get them in with Matt Reeves, and get an idea for where these trilogy of movies are going to be going, as well as the spin-off movies, and get somebody who's going to put the level of dedication to the character of Batman that Hugh Jackman brings to Wolverine.
Yeah. And I really like Matt Reeves, so I think Matt Reeves having a Batman trilogy that exists in this present DCEU, I think that would be a brilliant idea. I think that would be something that could just bring pure gold to our present lineup, to our present heroes. And I think I agree with you. At this point, Ben Affleck is a loose tooth. And I don't like that because, like you said, I agree with you. He's one of my favorite on-screen Batmans. I think his portrayal is amazing. And I think he's got more Batman in him. But like you said, it's just this whole back and forth. I get why Ben Affleck wants out. And it's been so, I'm in, I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. That it's like, okay, pull the tooth. It's a loose tooth. Pull the dang tooth. Let's just figure this out and let's move forward. And either way, it kind of stinks to me. I mean, I think the best way is if they pick another actor and Bruce Wayne, the character, passes the mantle on to that character. Because I'm very darn tired of Batman constantly being rebooted. I'm tired of that. Just let's pick a Batman, let's stay with it.
Yeah, I understand that to a degree. I'm actually on the opposite end of that. I don't want to see the mantle getting tossed to a Dick Grayson or to an Azrael or anything like that. I actually would much prefer they just do a quick recast and whoever they choose is still Bruce Wayne, because to me, Bruce Wayne is the only Batman. That's the only Batman I want to see in this universe. I don't want to see a trilogy of movies where Nightwing is Batman or Robin is Batman, or, you know, I just don't want to see it. There's interesting stories to be told there, but I can get them from the comics. I don't want to wait 8 years to see this story when I want to see the Bruce Wayne, world's greatest detective, Batman, fully unleashed, destroying dudes left and right, being the actual world's greatest detective. Everything that we thought we were going to get after the little bit of Batman we got in BVS, I want to see that. I don't want to see them like, okay, well, Ben's out, so we can't do Bruce Wayne anymore. We'll just give it to Robin. I don't really want to see that. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, though, especially when you're in what's supposed to be a continuous universe and have solid continuity. You can't just kind of, it's more difficult to just say, okay, well, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal is now Bruce Wayne, or whoever they pick. But I don't think that we're beyond doing that. You know what I mean? They've done it so many times in the past. I mean, whenever they switched from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer, from Val Kilmer to George Clooney, even though those movies were terrible, you didn't blink an eye whenever the movie started. It wasn't like, wait a minute, where's Michael Keaton? I don't understand what's going on. Like, it's very easy to kind of get onto pace. So I prefer if they would just recast it, tear the Band-Aid off, like you said, rip the tooth out, and just continue and take some time and put some care into these movies. Don't just throw them out there and go in, you know, with the wrong intentions.
That is a very good argument for the recast. I'm just not a fan of recasting, but I don't know. See, that's one of the things that I think to me has the DCEU in jeopardy. But the idea of recasting, so let's talk about that. So, Flashpoint. That is announced as the Flash movie. And I don't know what I think of that, because we only met Barry Allen just now. And Barry Allen doesn't have his job with the, what he does. We haven't met Iris. We haven't met Wally West. We haven't built his world. And yet, what I remember seeing in the news is the Flash movie coming next, like the solo Flash movie, is Flashpoint. Now, here's my theory on that. I think they're going to try to X-Men Days of Future Past it. I think they're trying to, because that could explain a recast, which would suck, because I like Henry Cavill as Superman. But if you want to recast Batman, doing a Flashpoint and changing the events would definitely give you a good segue to recast him. But I don't know. What do you think of a Flashpoint being the next announced Flash movie?
I think it's a shame that they're already going to jump out of the gate with Flashpoint, because Flashpoint is a story that you're supposed to do way later. Like you said, we don't know anybody in Central City yet. We don't know Iris. We don't know Joe. We don't know anybody at Star Labs. We don't even, whoever they're going to actually put in this movie. We don't know Captain Cold. We don't know, the Reverse Flash. So the whole gravity of the story of Flashpoint is that Barry Allen wakes up and his world is different. Iris isn't Iris that he knows. The Reverse Flash is gone. Like, so many things are changed. How do you execute that whenever we don't even know what his regular world looks like? That's not going to have an impact. When we see Flashpoint, whatever world he wakes up in, that's the first time we're seeing his world. So the whole thing, it's like starting Back to the Future after he's got to the 50s. You're not going to understand what is going on. So it's a shame that they're already going to jump the gun with that. And I think you're right. If they do it, it's because they know that they've screwed up and they're going to use it as their built-in reset button. They're going to change things. They're going to recast. They're going to retool things. They're going to say certain movies don't exist in the continuity anymore, just like Days of Future Past. And they're going to try to move forward with a clean slate. But you're sacrificing an amazing story to do that. And you're jumping off the Flash with his first standalone movie, and you're going to kind of sacrifice how great that story can be to do that. And they could very easily do a recast with that, but I don't think that it's worth the risk. I mean, they could very easily just say, oh, maybe they retool the story to where Flash is trying to save Bruce Wayne's parents or something like that, or who knows. They could do anything. They could try to save his parents back before Bruce Wayne is born, and then she gets pregnant 45 minutes later than she would have, and whoever kid comes out is still Bruce Wayne because they love that name, but it's not Ben Affleck. It's Jake Gyllenhaal or, anybody else. So they can do that, but Flashpoint is supposed to be about Flash. Flashpoint is supposed to be about his story, about him trying to save his mom and completely screwing up the entire universe for that one selfish choice. And you get things like Thomas Wayne, who is Bruce Wayne's father, is actually Batman in this universe. Thomas Wayne in this universe is Negan. So that's awesome. That's the one element that I'm like, that would be cool to see. So that's the only thing. Even though I still don't want to see it, if they decided to make Thomas Wayne the permanent Batman, that's the only. That's the one that I could tolerate the most. But I mean, you have that. You have Reverse Flash come in. 2/3 of the way through the story, and the whole time Flash is trying to figure out what Reverse Flash has done to screw this world up. And the big shock is that when Reverse Flash shows up and he says, "No, bro, you're the one who screwed up this universe." How does it feel to be the villain for once? And that I just don't see that story having any kind of impact when they're doing it with the first movie. So I still have doubts we're even going to get that. I mean, the Flash movie has gone through probably more rewrites and changes than any other movie in this entire universe that's been announced, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of them jumping the gate with Flashpoint. So if I was in charge of Warner Brothers, that would be changed immediately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of their pattern, is they're rushing, and I feel like the rush is, well, we gotta get to where Marvel is. Marvel has this whole shared universe with all these characters, so instead of a sequel to Man of Steel, we'll just do Batman vs. Superman and build an entire league. And they took a movie that should have been so great and so special and still has some great and special moments in it, but they took something that should have been much better than it was and kind of rushed it to build a universe. And it feels like that's what Flashpoint would be if they decide, to keep that on the docket, which I really hope not. Aquaman is the very next movie on the docket, correct?
I assume so. That's the one movie that we've supposedly heard no problems from, but I've seen nothing from it. And I've seen no trailers, no clips, no behind the scenes. So supposedly they're making this Aquaman movie somewhere, but yeah, it's supposed to come out 13 months from now.
I've heard nothing negative, but I've heard nothing positive. It's like hush, hush, quiet.
It supposedly they're filming it. I don't know if they're finished. I haven't heard anything about that, but I'd imagine that movie is going to have a ton of VFX post-production, because even just the small scene that we saw underwater in Justice League, basically the entire scene has to be digitally altered to make it look like they're underwater. So it's going to be... James Wan bit off a lot whenever he took the Aquaman movie. And if anybody can do it, it's him. But yeah, I have no idea what the progress on that movie is. That is the one movie in this entire universe that we just never hear anything about. And I guess no news is good news.
I don't want Justice League to reboot anything. Just take where you're at. It's not too bad of a spot, and move forward.
They proved with Wonder Woman that you can regain momentum. I mean, people were not hot on Man of Steel for the most part. People really didn't like Batman v Superman. People really, really didn't like Suicide Squad. And then you have Wonder Woman come out, and you have every reason in the world to believe that that movie was going to tank, and we even feared it ourselves, and it's great. And then that movie made like, what, $800-900 million? I mean, it's been killing it. So they can quickly regain that momentum. I think that they need to write off Justice League as something that was going to fail from the start. And they should have known that it was going to fail from the start with how they went into it. They started filming this movie 2 weeks after BVS came out without having a single line from a critic or an audience reaction to read about how people received that movie. And as soon as they saw the reaction, they halted that movie, stopped it on a dime, and tried to retool and rework and rewrite the entire thing to fit all the criticisms. Oh, we got to make it light. We got to make it funny. We got to take this out. We got to do this because they didn't like it in that movie. They're not going to like it in this movie. And then, they went through that whole production, and then unfortunately had the thing with Zack Snyder, and then Joss Whedon came in and they rewrote about, I'd say at least 40-45% of the movie to me looked like a rewrite. So rewrote and reshot almost half the movie again. And to me, that movie was doomed from the beginning. If they would have succeeded with that, that would have been like lightning in a bottle. So I think they need to be realistic and just say, look, we knew 2 weeks after BVS came out that this movie was screwed. And we did everything we possibly could. Maybe we did a little bit too much to try to fix it and actually cause some issues. But we did everything we could to make it work. It's not the biggest success that we thought we were going to make. I mean, hell, 3 years ago, if you would have told me a Justice League movie was coming out, I would have bet money that would have been a $2 billion movie. Now he's going to be lucky if it makes $800 million. So I think they need to look at it as just, okay, this was going to be a failure somewhat, or a very mild success at best from the beginning. So let's just keep the momentum that we're doing. We've got a lot of changes behind the scenes. We've got, we did great with Wonder Woman. Let's make sure that when we do The Flash and when we do Aquaman, that they're great. When we get this Matt Reeves trilogy, we got to make sure that that's great, especially because Batman fans do not forget. You got things like the Shazam movie, which we can talk about that too, that's starting to get a lot of movement going. If they get, 2, 3 really great, awesome standalone movies, possibly even more before they even decide to stab at a Justice League Part 2 again, and they go into it with the right mindset this time, and we have characters that we already know, we have worlds that we already know, and they can actually write a good story instead of just throwing a reason to throw these guys together, I think they can eventually work their way back to Justice League, and Justice League 1, for those that didn't like it, will be just kind of this forgotten memory.
You brought up Shazam. I have very little to say about the movie, so here's what I'm going to say. I don't care. Of all the things that the DCEU could do, Shazam is something that I care so little about, I just don't care. How about we erase that from the docket, switch up the Flash, do an awesome Man of Steel 2 with him versus Brainiac, and just, I don't know. What do you think of Shazam?
I think Shazam is the movie that on paper I care about the least, but it's also the movie that is going to go in with the least amount of baggage and the least amount of expectations and the most probability to probably surprise the hell out of all of us. Because they don't have to tie into any kind of universe. They don't have to set up Shazam in a Justice League 2 or explain where Batman is when Shazam's doing his thing. And this is a superhero this is kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy situation where comic book nerds know exactly who Shazam is. But your average movie-going audience, who the hell is Shazam? What is Shazam? What is this? And then, they made a really interesting casting decision. They casted Zachary Levi from Chuck to play Shazam, which I've never seen Chuck, so I don't have any idea. The dude could be awesome on Chuck as far as I know, but it's just a really off-the-wall. It was a really off-the-wall decision, because you think of Shazam, and people were talking about John Cena for a while, which thank God they didn't go with him, but physicality-wise, that's kind of who you would think for Shazam, but I think it could surprise us, and they obviously are very, very determined to make The Rock as Black Adam happen. So it's definitely going to happen in my mind. They announced...
Well, I mean, if you could get The Rock, make that happen.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know anything really about Shazam or Black Adam. I know the basic idea of the character, but I've never read any of their books. But to me, Black Adam, from what I'm hearing, is like a big villain in DC. Like, he can go toe-to-toe with Superman and stuff like that. So, if they can establish The Rock as that villain in the DCEU, and they have Shazam, and then eventually they meet in a movie later on, like, I'm all for, if they succeed, what's to come for that.
Yeah. I'm still back and forth on it. I saw one Shazam animated movie, and Shazam is in Justice League War, and didn't like Shazam in Justice League War, and that one animated movie was like Superman and Shazam and the Black Adam or whatever it was. I don't know. It was like, okay. So I'm just not too thrilled, but you never know. I mean, I thought a talking space raccoon was a dumb idea for Marvel, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. So it's like, you're right. It has the least amount of baggage and has probably the most amount of surprise that it could give us. But again, we have Zachary Levi, we have The Rock, but how many times has the idea with The Rock changed in just the last several months? And so it's like, who knows what they're going to do? That's the thing. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. If I had it my way, what they need to do, honestly, I don't care about probably 80% of the movies that they promised us already. I think, especially with the fact that they gave us a little bit of the Superman that most fans have been waiting to see in Justice League, the hopeful Superman, the smiling Superman, everything like that, I think they need to just plant their feet, get a script together, take their time with it. They need to get the Batman movie rolling. They need to get Man of Steel 2 rolling before they focus on anything else. Not to say that they need to come out first, but they need to get that as their focus, because not only are those the two biggest superheroes in comic books, period, and you can't argue that at all. Those are the movies that people have been screaming for. Even though people don't love Man of Steel, yeah, it's like, I say, 60% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, so 40% of us don't like Man of Steel, roughly. People still want to see Man of Steel 2, especially now that you've seen the Superman that most people have been waiting for. So they need to do that. They need to get the Matt Reeves thing going. They need to go ahead and just tell us that Batman or Ben Affleck is gone. Obviously, they can't do it right now. Maybe by the time Star Wars comes out, we'll hear that finally, and they can quit playing around. Recast whoever they're going to recast. Get the story going. Get those movies going. As far as other characters, I want to see the Flash, but I don't want to see Flashpoint. I don't really care if I see Cyborg in a standalone movie. He's kind of like the Hulk in Thor Ragnarok for me. I'm fine with him being a side character. And Suicide Squad 2, could take it or leave it. I like the director they have in it.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
There's so many movies that we're supposed to be getting soon. There's like 20 of them. So Suicide Squad 2.
Gotham City Sirens, Suicide Squad 2.
Batgirl.
And then what, Joker and Harley.
Yeah, Batgirl, Joker and Harley, plus the Joker standalone.
I'd be more interested in Batgirl than I would in Suicide Squad 2 and in Gotham City Sirens. Like, give me Batgirl.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't go ahead and set up like a Batman universe within the DCEU universe. They should have had the Batman movie. They should have had a Nightwing movie, which like supposedly that's in production too. You should have had a Batgirl movie. That way, like, even if some of the DC movies are stumbling, you still have kind of this successful universe within a universe in Gotham. So, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because Batman is his own universe.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I'm not a WB exec, because I would do everything right.
Yeah, I know. And that's probably why they don't want to hire you or me in there, because we wouldn't go their direction. We'd go the right way and, get this right on the first shot and get these movies rolling. Well, that is Cody and I, and this has been our State of the DCEU update with Justice League. And as you can tell, the future is up in the air, as it has always been with the release of each DCEU movie. It's like we gotta figure out how to get this solid. So when we do a State of the DCEU, it's like, yes, that's it, and that's the future. We are just not there yet, but hopefully we will get there really soon. So Cody, one more time, where can we find you?
You can find me at youtube.com/Cody Leach channel, or you can just type in Cody Leach in the search bar. I'll be the first person that pops up. Like I said, I do movie reviews, a lot of horror reviews especially. I do top fives and rankings, occasional music and video game reviews, and some off-the-topic videos. If I just feel like talking about something, I turn on the camera and I just spew some stuff out. So go over to Cody Leach and check it out.
So go over there, hit subscribe on his channel, and watch him spew some stuff out. And come over here and hit subscribe on Durbania as well. And make sure you hit that bell so you're notified the moment I drop new videos. Got lots of other awesome movie reviews, theological analyses, trailer reactions, and other awesome Cody Leach collaborations. Check out his Evil Speak on his channel too, because that's pretty slick. I had a blast filming that with Cody. So check all of that out. I'm Durbin. This is Cody. Thanks for checking out Durbania.